Hi guys, this is the advisor and welcome back to my channel. Breaking news, breaking news. I've just learned today that the appeal hearing of Dante Brooks, this now incarcerated son of Mavado, dancehall artist Mavado, is scheduled for sometime in June. Now, for those of you who have been living under a rock, say now that you're tuning into this channel, you can tell everybody say you're not under no rock no longer. Because before I tell you about the trial and the current repercussions and the reverberations that has happened because of that young man being in prison, I'm going to tell you about what had actually happened for those of you who don't know. Mavado's son, Dante Brooks, at the age of 18 years old, was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2021 with recommendation that he serve 22 years before being eligible for parole. Now, this doesn't mean that he is getting out in 22 years, after the sentence, What it means that they will look at the possibility and consider it. That is all. Now, how did an 18-year-old young man end up in that place in the first place? Well, me I gotta tell you no plain. I lay the blame 100% at the feet of his father, David Constantine Brooks. Dante was his first son and heir to his throne, and he loved the little boy. But here why him love more than him son? The one love him had more than him son was music and badness. Two things, music and badness, were the two things that he loved more than Dante Brooks. Bear in mind that a few years ago, Mavado was one of the biggest dancehall acts in the world. He was like on par with the Vibes cartoon. They were basically the two hottest dancehall artists worldwide. And when Mavado realized that the cartoon had a gang of vicious murderers and an entourage that follow him that he referred to as Gaza, Dante catch him jealous and say, boy, me a dancehall artist and me a big dancehall artist just as much as him. I need to have my repetition and the badness too, because as everybody know, dancehall and badness are two first cousins. You can't in a dancehall and a fire gun and murder people, because as so it go in a dancehall. It's a part of the lifestyle. So that was when he decided to form his own entourage, get a certain community that he was in total control and of which he was the kingpin, and where his word was basically law in that area, so as to rival the same status that the Vibes cartoon had over Waterford and several other sections of Portmore. And he decided that the best community that he was going to start and do his thing was his own community of Cassava Piece. Now guys, I wanted to take a look at Cassava Piece. Now, this is where you enter Cassava Piece from Manningsville Road, from the west heading east. Cassava Piece is an unplanned community. It is a lot of zinc fences, lots of ramshackle houses, dwellings that people just set up. And I don't even think that to this blessed day that area has been regulated. And if you look into the mind of these dancehall people, a rich man, a multi-millionaire, famous, talented person like Mavado, and this is where he chose as the epicenter of his control of turf. This is where he chose to control a bunch of poor people on a community that has just one road. A road that stretches about mile and a half from Manningsville Road to Constant Spring Road. So you can see the mindset, the typical dirty, low, disgusting mindset of dancehall artists. He had a lot of friends in that area, and what he did was he started giving out money, holding little treats, and start imposing himself and his authority on the community. You know, first of all of the licky people, them gathered up together and stood behind him. But there were some dads in the era who were not really into it. Some men were not into it. But his influence over time grew. But back to his son. What Mavado wanted is that he wanted his son to control the area because he himself did not want to jeopardize his visa. So he wanted to keep his face off he didn't want to front that organization. And he didn't want any of the dads in the era or anybody in there to front it. He wanted his son to front the organization. At that time, his son, when he started doing these things, his son was only about 14. And this boy, him never make the boy know no limits. He never let this child grow up. Him allow the boy to be around gunmen and ganja smoker and rapists from pretty early. So, in other words, the young man from the age of maybe 10, 11 was being exposed to badness. And came in a Cassava Piece when he was 15, 16. Well, for example, this youth, him never allowed him to grow up, to go to school. If the picnic want to go to school, him go. If him don't want to go, him just don't go. Him allow the picnic to have his own ways. And him don't let anybody discipline the child, nor talk to him. And then again, when he would go into the company, into Cassava Piece, he would allow the son to follow him and watch how him bad up people and watch how him sort of try to influence and dominate people within the community. In other words, he allowed his son to understudy him at a very tender age, as an adolescent. Some of the people in the community resented this little young boy, this little sprat. I come and tell them what to do, and I tell them what to do, and I try push them around. You understand me? And a lot of the dads in the area, when I say dads, I don't mean necessarily grandfathers or fathers, but people in the area who had some influence as decent, upstanding citizens who never want to take no talk from this little boy. One of the men in the area who decides to him not take no talk from this little boy, nor him father for that matter, was a young man called Lorenzo Thomas. Him just tired of the foolishness with this little JZS boy. So, by this time, Mavado himself was trying to take himself as much as possible out of the operational aspect of the control of this community. So, in order to allow his son to exert the power so the community know who is in charge or who is deputizing for Mavado himself, he decided to use Lorenzo Thomas as an example. And let's point out that at this time, when he wanted his son to take over, his son was only 15 years old. But by that time, he was an old dad's in the badness. So that night, they went to Lorenzo Thomas's home, kick off the door, go in there, give him several bullets in his chest, take one old lass, and hack off the man's head. But they didn't carry sharp enough lass. So them only sarka the neck and couldn't take up because they needed to hang the head outside on a light post and use this as a warning to the entire community to say, do not F with us, this will happen to Uno. So this was really the final icing on the cake and the rites of transition for his son. While this was happening, or for the night it was planned, Mavado make sure leave the country 2 days before, after planning it. Him leave the country, make sure so that nobody couldn't call him name. But him set his son directly to lead the murder. His son did just that. And when they realized that they couldn't hack off the man's head, what them turn around and do? Them empty a full automatic pistol clip in the head of Lorenzo Thomas. Closed casket business. And they didn't hide when they do it, you know. And here's the reason why they didn't hide when they do it. They wanted it to be known, say, them do it, so are we in charge. Because they think that people would be too intimidated to speak out or to give the police the information. They even killed Lorenzo Thomas in front of his father, right in front of his father. And then they light the body afire and light the house afire and left the father alive watching his son burn. And then they just turned and walked out of the community, you know, because for some reason, Mavado, his father, made him feel that he was untouchable. By that, of course, the son himself, Dante, did stop go school. Him go school when him feel like, and him dress anyhow him feel like. Him want wear him earring in a class and teacher talk to him tell teacher bad word. He was a real thug, grown and groomed by his father. It is known that he even took girls out of his school and carried them up at the father house up in the hills and go have him way with them and bring them back. And the little young girl them would give in to him because this was Mavado's son. So in other words, the world was his oyster. His father taught him no responsibility except for dirt, people, and for be a bad man. But it all unraveled because the father of the deceased, he spoke up. Many members of the community spoke up. And they eventually found all of them. Well, they couldn't pin it on about 3 of them, but they end up pinning it on the father and Dante and one of the other person who was there trying to hack off the head. That incident happened in 2018 and the trial came up in 2021. Dante Brooks, because of how gruesome the crime was, Dante Brooks was charged as an adult. And in January 21 he was found guilty, and I think by about March he was sentenced. But it's like that was the wake-up call for Mavado. Because it's like him think all of this was a game all along, you know. He think that it was just a game. He never take none of that serious. Like as if there would have been consequences for his actions. When he realized that the boy gets sentenced, the hair to his throne, the apple of his eye. Because believe me, he loved his son. He really loved the son. But he was just not a father. And he was too captivated by the badness. And believe me, since that day in March 2021, when his son was sentenced, Mavado has never been the same. Anyone notice he has had very few shows since that time. He have virtually not been back on his used to be Twitter, profile, nor on his Instagram, and all the other interactions he used to have worldwide, he cut them off. He became more reclusive. He had a few shows, yes, but basically he was a wrecked man, and to this blessed day, Mavado is not the same. I heard that they were trying to get the case, get the appeal done on the basis that the summing up of the judge was prejudicial to the trial. And also, another thing that was said was that some of the evidence that was put forward to place him there at the scene were faulty and should not have been admissible. Because remember, Dante's one defense was that he was not there. He had an alibi, he was not there at the scene. But how you cannot do it? And the father of the man you killed, him used to put you up on bicycle and drop you at basic school. Him no must know you. All the other members of the community of Cassava Piece who saw you leaving the community after the act and who saw you throwing gasoline on the place, them not know you. I'm trying to print down the grounds that it was that the appeal had taken, and I will let you guys know as soon as I find what were the grounds that was used. But basically, there were about 11 or 12 witnesses who came forward, and point out Dante Brooks. So, Dante Brooks are going to tell me, say, all of them people there, I did lied. But one thing you must understand, remember, is that Gully died the day that Dante Brooks got sentenced. Mavado have never used the word Gully in his mouth again. He is hoping against hope, futilely as far as I'm concerned, that somehow his son will be released from prison and he will see his son back on the road again in his own lifetime so he can make things differently. But believe me, Mavado has a whole lot of regrets. Because we might realize, he has been keeping an extremely low profile. I hear that in the past, from his son got sentenced, I hear that he has not been back in Cassava Piece. The few friends that he have, if he's in Jamaica, he let them come meet him at his home. He never even go back there. So it's like if he could have turned back the hands of time and have his son back with him, there was a million things that he would have done differently. People, children live what they learn. Even if you in a badness, which you shouldn't be, because I think when me in a badness, man fi kick off your door 2 a.m. and dirt you. But even if you're in a badness, don't put your picnic in a it. Don't think that that is the lifestyle that's good enough for your kids. You should isolate and insulate them from that kind of lifestyle. Anyway, guys, this is a very important case and I will be watching it very keenly and bring you the details as soon as they come up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for visiting my channel. Like, share, leave a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.